Hi, I'm Pastor Chris from Horton Congregational Church, and I would like to wish each and every woman out there a happy Mother's Day. On this Mother's Day 2020, we find most unusual circumstances in which to celebrate the women in our lives. I pray that you will be able to connect with your mother in some way today, whether it is virtually, by telephone, or just in the wonderful memories that she left you with. There's not a person watching today that in at least 1, 5, 10, or probably 1,000 different ways has not been forever influenced by their mother. Some of us have had additional women in our lives who have had a profound impact on us as well. As we take a moment to think about these women, let's give God thanks for who we are today because of them. So on this Mother's Day, let's consider the Old Testament book of Ruth and the truths we can learn from this scripture to apply to our lives today. You may remember the story. Naomi and her husband Elimelech were in the throes of a famine, a crisis, if you will. Think COVID-19. So they left Bethlehem, running away from their problems, to Moab, the land of their enemy. They spent 10 years there, and although we don't really know all the details about what happened while they were living in Moab, we do know that Naomi became a widow and she also lost both of her sons. How ironic in chapter 1, verse 6, that Naomi is now experiencing a famine in Moab and decides to return to her home in Bethlehem. She advises her two daughter-in-laws to stay behind with their families in their own country. Orpah agrees and departs, but Ruth refuses. Naomi must have been a special woman who had a lot of influence over Ruth, because Ruth makes this decision. Where you go, I will go. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Upon arriving in Bethlehem, things aren't exactly rosy. Naomi is shunned for leaving and for bringing back a Moabite woman, and becomes miserable and hopeless. But Ruth, having promised to stay by Naomi's side, gleans in the fields to feed them. Boaz, one of the landowners, has pity on Ruth and makes sure that she and her mother-in-law are well taken care of. Through a very interesting chain of events that could have only been orchestrated by God, Boaz ends up marrying Ruth. At the end of this biblical account, we find Naomi taking care of her grandson, Obed. At first, the book of Ruth seems like a sweet romance where a Cinderella figure marries Prince Charming and the dour old mother-in-law gets a cuddly grandson to keep her happy. But there is so much more to see and learn from this story. Ruth clung to a faith she didn't fully understand when she refused to leave Naomi's side. And although Naomi's faith seems more like that of a mustard seed, Naomi never gave up on God. And because of their faith, the Lord blessed these two women richly in ways that they never could have imagined. Boaz, Ruth's kindred redeemer, is a beautiful picture of our Redeemer, Jesus Christ. Through Boaz's integrity and care, he was able to take Ruth into his family, exactly what Jesus does for us. No matter how dark the world is around us, God will get us through. And the results may be more than we have ever dreamed or hoped for. I invite you to take a few moments to read this short story, this book in the Bible. There's only 4 chapters, and it really won't take that long. And as you ponder it, you may find some truths for your own life that would be very pertinent right now. In the Gospel of Matthew, we find 5 women listed in the genealogy of Jesus. One of these 5 was a Moabite woman named Ruth. We can't see the big picture, the blessings God has planned for us. But when we walk by faith as Ruth did, we allow the Lord to work in our lives in ways that we really can't ever imagine. So I'm going to leave you with Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Happy Mother's Day.